Yes.
So, good morning, Mr.
Yeah.
Evans, Obanda Ouma Mbinji.
Good morning. Good morning there,
Good morning,
Edwede.
and good afternoon where you are in Kenya.
Yeah. In Kenya, it's an afternoon right now. It's around. It's 2 actually, 2 p.m.
Oh goodness, sorry. Well, thank you very much for connecting. Thank you for your, for taking out of your busy schedule to come and talk to us today.
I appreciate.
And just to let everybody know, as the invitation said, we are speaking to an African composer, Mr. Evans Obanda Ouma Mbinji. We're going to
Great.
talk to him about his works, where he started, how he started, what he's doing today, and his future projects and future plans. Thanks to anybody
Yes.
who decides to join us live and anybody who will watch the videos later. He has a Facebook profile. I think he also has a Facebook page, like a professional page. You can reach him online if you want to. So let us commence. So you're speaking to us from Kenya. I would like to start by looking at you as a composer. You are a composer, a lecturer, a choral director. You are also a visiting choral conductor. So you work, across
Sure.
different strands. But if we look at
True.
you as a composer, which is what our website is mainly about, and this Facebook page, can you tell us when you started composing and what made you start? Just take us through the why, the when of music composition for you.
Thank you very much for that. Actually, my father used to be a musician. He used to play piano and guitar, and he used to teach us while in the house. And we used to sing in church. So in primary, I used to sing in school. When I went to high school, I also used to sing. I actually started composing when I went to university. That's where I wrote my first song. And then one of my lecturers used to really
Just give us a second, please. Please give us a second. No problem. No problem. Welcome back.
yes, yeah,
I just want you to, if you don't mind, can you perhaps start again? You talked about composing your first work at university and one of your
yeah,
lecturers being interested in what you worked on. Let's start from there.
yes. Yes, my first composition, as I've said, was in the university, and then some of my colleagues, students, fellow students, were assisting me, and some of them, my directors by then, were also assisting me in the course, and they were criticizing my music. I keep doing until I perfected the art. And now I can say that I've done so many compositions, which others are set pieces in some festivals in Kenya. I've even sent some of my music outside, and some are also published. Yeah,
No?
that's
Okay.
where I am.
All right. Let's go back to that journey. Can you remember? Well, you probably most likely do. The name of your first composition, and did you study? Were you studying music or music composition at this time? Because you talk about your colleagues criticizing your work and you having to adjust and improve it.
Actually, I didn't study composition. Yeah, it was, I just studied other things, like I did BCom, business administration. That's what I was teaching. And then, but music was just a passion, talent. And then later, when I finished university, I started doing it online and doing a little bit in some courses here and there until I did a diploma in music. Yeah. So my first composition, I would say that it's about 20 years ago, which was a Kiswahili song.
Okay.
Yes.
You don't remember the title, but is it recorded anywhere? Is it available for us to listen?
It is not recorded anywhere.
Has it become folklore? Because this is something that I don't know if many of us are aware of. African composers, they compose music. It becomes very well known, very popular. Everybody learns it. You know, it's sung in the towns, cities, villages. And the name of the composer is usually not attached to the song because the song just becomes something everybody sings. Is that what has happened to your first composition?
Yeah, actually, the song was very popular. Like it was a sacred song. It was very popular in most churches. But after that, I was not even interested of publishing it or even sharing it to some professional choirs outside there. By then, my name was I was not really known, so it just disappeared. It just ended up here in my country.
It was well received, but it seems that you were not too proud of it. Am I misunderstanding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, yeah. You know, like in our country, sometimes when your song becomes very popular, at some point it fades. Yeah, and people want to see you writing each time, so you like forget the songs you did before.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. It sounds like there's some nostalgia there, but listen, you've put it out there. People are enjoying it. It would be nice if, like I said, I've noticed this across African composers and Africa generally when it comes to our music. There's usually no link between some composers and their music. You can see some arguments going on online about who actually composed this piece because it has become part of the furniture, so to speak, part of people's culture. So some people don't even know that many of what the songs they sing are actually written by composers who are still alive and still walking around. But I hope that you reconcile, I suppose, with the music, and well done, and thanks for giving us your first piece about 20 years ago. So if we just touch on your style of music composition now, can you tell us about the different styles? How will you describe your style of composing music?
I write a lot of Kenyan traditional music, which we call arrangements. Yeah, it's just choruses that are sung in church. I do arrangements. I also do compositions, and I also do English music. But what has really inspired me is African American Negro spirituals. So songs that I write in English, I normally tend to use the style of African American. And then my compositions, I use traditional idioms of Kenyan idioms, Kenyan rhythms, and Kenyan folk music.
Okay. So, and which you say you've composed in Kiswahili, you said Kenyan languages and English.
Yeah, Kenya, we have in Kenya we have about 42 tribes. Yeah, so from we have so many communities.
Okay.
So my music tends sometimes to be, I pick different communities, idioms, and some cultural music, which sometimes I arrange.
Okay, good, because I want to talk about arrangements later on. But for now, you've talked about the different tribes that exist across Kenya that you have. Do you think that composing in different languages is do you find it challenging? Do you find it challenging to stay true to the pronunciations and to get the meanings of the words across in your music?
It is difficult, but I will say that when you do, you also learn a lot. You learn the culture of that particular tribe. the way they speak, the way they do their thing.
Sorry,
And
can I
sometimes
just
you get
okay? Sorry, can I just cut you off there a bit? For
yes,
example, if you are going to compose a Kyrie, for example, in Latin,
yes,
right?
yes,
I don't think many people actually go and look at the culture or speak to somebody who speaks Latin to understand, to understand the people, the history, the background. It seems that what you are saying is you don't just take the words from a Kenyan
yes,
language, perhaps that you don't
yes.
speak. You actually do some
Yeah.
research.
You have to do research because you never know. Sometimes you may be told to speak about that particular music.
Right.
The culture will really make you to know the way that they behave, the way they do their thing, and it will make you really appreciate more of their culture, and to know how they do something like that. Yeah.
Right.
So
Okay.
that yeah.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
This is interesting to discover for me. I guess because I've
Yeah.
mainly concentrated on church music, which, if you've grown
Mhm.
up listening to church music in different languages, you don't put in the effort to research the background of the languages because you've heard it over and over
Mm.
and over again. But this is
Mm.
absolutely interesting. And we did say earlier that
Yeah.
you are a lecturer. So I guess
Yes.
some of that feeds into that respect that you have and the need to go into
Yes.
detailed research. Okay, that's interesting.
Yes.
Um,
Great.
I've noticed that you use the call and response model in your arrangements. By the way, you talked about arrangements earlier. You hinted on
Yes.
that. I want to
Yes.
quickly find out before we talk about call and response, the model that you use. Do you compose mostly, or do you do mainly arrangements? Because I've noticed some of your arrangements or compositions, I can't really tell if they are arrangements of traditional existing Kenyan music or if they are composed by you. Sorry to put it, so bluntly, but with
Mm-hmm.
African composers, especially with the research I'm doing or this project that I'm working on, so to speak, a program, you can't really tell. You go on YouTube, you find a video, you can't tell if the video you are watching is music by the composer or an arrangement or is somebody else's, because the details are sometimes not added to the video. So you can check Vimeo, check Facebook, these details don't get added. The names disappear into the ether. And I talked about this earlier in terms of folklore. So do you mainly compose or mostly arrange? We're going to watch two of your videos of you conducting some music. So, and I know they are arranged by you, but I don't know if they are composed by you. Do you mainly compose or do you mainly arrange?
I do compositions. I also do arrangements, but I will say I do most arrangements, probably because our nature of festivals in Kenya are basically arrangements. Sometimes they tell you to arrange, do this, pick this melody, pick this folk song. Are you able to arrange? And then you also have categories of compositions. But most of my compositions that I have used are normally thematical, basically for church and probably for specific festivals. So most of them are not online.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
most of
okay,
them are not online. Yes.
okay.
Yes.
What you just touched on now is quite important because I have been contacted by people before
Yes.
who have said, can you write something from, for example, I'm a Nigerian, from Nigerian
Yes.
folk music. So I think what you are
Yes.
doing is capturing the history of your country or
Mm-hmm.
history of Kenya by
Yes.
recording, putting into
Yes.
writing the folk music. So yes, I have been contacted by
Yes.
people. I know the importance of doing that. I don't know if
Yes.
it's been done enough because some of
Mm-hmm.
us just want to contribute new music. But I mean,
Yes.
well done for doing that and putting in on paper the history and historical music from Kenya. So I was talking about the call and response model.
Great.
Maybe this
Mm-hmm.
is all about the folklore now and folk music. You use the call and response
Mm-hmm.
model in some of your arrangements and compositions. I would like to
Yes.
play Bwana Nipepesa here. So we'll
Okay.
listen to this and then we'll come back to and continue the interview.
Great.
and we are having some difficulty with the music. I will play it again and see what happens. We were getting an echo from one of our microphones. So that was Bwana Nipe Pesa. So, I was talking about the call and response model earlier. Was that a folklore? Was that composed by you? And do you typically like to write the call and response model?
That song is not my composition. It is an arrangement.
Okay.
It is a song that is in the public domain. Yeah, it is a song that we normally call that style zilizopendwa, the songs that are loved by people, which are in the domain. Zilizopendwa. Zilizopendwa. Yeah, they are normally done. They are secular music. Some are gospel, just for entertainment, and they're always being played the public, the radio, television. So you just pick that idiom, and then now you arrange it chorally.
Okay.
Chorally, yes.
Okay.
Great.
You work with choral groups in Kenya and in the United States. I believe that choral group and that performance was in the United States. They perform work by Kenyan composers. They perform arrangements, as you've made clear to us now. What is your criteria for picking the works that you use at these types of events and these visits? And is it easier to use the call and response style? What's your criteria for picking words?
Okay, this call and response style, probably it is most in Kenya, because in our music, and I think believe in most African music, you find that they were not composed in the idiom of like you're thinking of a choir. No, it is just folk music, whereby sometimes somebody comes, sings along, and then there is a response from probably the audience. So most of our music are brought in because of that style, yeah, of arrangement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not that that works easier for those choirs, because I want to know, how do you decide, I'm going on this trip, I've been invited to this part of the world, this is what I'm going to use for the choir? How do you decide?
Okay. What I normally do is I normally like to use our cultural music, so that we also promote my country, the style of my country. And then I tend to also pick music that I know will be much easier outside there, in terms of reading, in terms of text, yeah, in terms of text and style.
Okay.
Yeah, something simple that people are able to learn faster, and simple rhythm. Yeah, and of course a song that I know can has color, has beauty. Yeah, that dictates what I choose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me quickly play Dunia Yarero. And by the way,
Yeah.
Dunia Yarero, we have the word dunia in a certain part of Nigeria as well, or certain parts of Nigeria. Dunia means life or the world. Does it mean the same thing?
The world. Yeah. Dunia is the world.
Okay. So it means
we share most. Great.
Yes. So let's listen to Dunia.
It is so amazing, as you say. I only had 2 rehearsals in the choir.
Dunia
Okay, that was Dunia Yarero. Who was conducting that performance? Who was the conductor?
Conductor. That is me. Yes.
Okay, just to let everybody know that he's a composer, lecturer, and arranger, a conductor. He works with choirs from all over the world. And yeah, he's basically like I've said about our previous guests as well. He wears many hats.
Yes.
So that also had the call and response style to it. That's another beautiful arrangement by our guest composer. Yes. What are the differences? You talked earlier about giving them a simple work. And by the way, I think I better also mention this here. We, as Africans, we perform works of composers from all over the world.
Yes.
I don't think anybody sat down and said, let's give them something simple to perform. But you seem to make a decision to try and simplify the work. Is it because of time constraints? Do you not think you probably want to give them something a lot more, perhaps shall I say, challenging or difficult? Because the same decisions are not made about us. We take the works from all over the world and we perform them. What do you think?
I think it's dictated by most of our choirs in like Kenya, in Africa, are not auditioned choirs. You find that probably my choir, if I'm teaching a choir in the university, even if they're doing music, but they probably cannot sight read. Like even my community choir, like church choir, they're not able to sight read. So sometimes you do something, that will not really give them difficulty during training. So sometimes you find that becomes your style, and you want to do music and choirs to learn as fast as possible. Yeah. So I think that dictates it.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Well, just to pursue that point a little bit further, then, in terms of working with choirs in Africa and choirs outside of Africa, what is the difference between working with choir in Kenya, or the different choirs you've worked with, or in Africa generally, and working with choirs outside of Africa?
Like what I've just said, choirs outside there, like in America and in other continents, in Europe, they are good because they are able to sight read. They're auditioned members, and some of the choirs that have directors over there that have asked me to write for them music, I tend to write some a little bit complicated, not very simple, because I know they are able to do them quite well. And I would say that choirs there are more, you find singers are more researched than our singers. They have time, because they are very professionals. Choirs in Africa, probably you'll find that people do it because of like a hobby. Yeah, sometimes they have other things they do. They don't study music. Yeah, so it becomes difficult sometimes because you're teaching members, and probably they have so much in their head. Some are looking for fees, some are from school, some are from work. But choirs outside there, you find that they are very professional, and that is what they study.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, if we just, I guess, pivot a little bit and completely change direction now as we near the end of the interview, I will, open the floor up to you, by the way, or invite you rather to just say something freely at the end of the interview, give us your opinion on certain things. But let's just finish with talking about composers. Completely changing topic now. Which African composer would you, our guest composer of today, most like to collaborate with, and why did you pick this particular composer?
In Africa?
Yes.
Okay, there's some composers in South Africa that I really admire. Yeah, I wouldn't name one specifically, okay, but there's some that I learn a lot from them.
Okay.
Yeah, and they help me, especially when I see their style, when I listen to their styles. It really inspires my music style. Yes.
Okay, that's nice. That's very nice. And if you were to, for example, put out a call for scores to perform with one of your choirs, because I talked about the criteria earlier, are you open to working with composers from across Africa who will send you their works to consider for performance with your choirs in Kenya or anywhere else? Because it's not, it's beyond supporting ourselves and promoting our culture and our continents. We also perhaps consider supporting others. So are you open? Do you collaborate? Do you support other African composers?
Great. I have really worked with some of African composers, like in Uganda, in South Africa, as I've mentioned. I've also done some work from. I think I've done a work from Nigeria. I've also done some work from Gambia. Yeah, and I would really love to do most of their music.
Okay.
And it will be a great thing when we do a collaboration with some of the directors there and composers.
Some of the directors and composers, okay, and everybody can reach you through Facebook if in case they want to, and they want to collaborate. They can send you their works for considerations. I like how you said, you know, most. You didn't say all, so let's see. I guess it depends on the quality and criteria, which we talked about earlier, which I asked about. So, can we know what is next in the pipeline for you? What's next? The next project you are working on, if you want to tell us, or if you feel that you can.
I'm doing a collaboration with one of the American conductors from Seattle, who I met in Seattle, in Washington University. He's coming over in February, in 3 weeks' time. Yeah, I'm doing his music with some of my choirs here in Kenya, and he's coming to conduct. And then I'm also working on doing compositions like a mass with my choir that I need to record this year. Just simple compositions. Yes.
Okay. Thanks for giving us an insight into your work, and thanks for all the hard work that you put in promoting the Kenyan culture, Kenyan music, African music. And I don't know, I'm going to open the floor up to you now as we round up our conversation. And it's been too short because we have a lot more to talk about. If you have any perhaps that you've always wanted to talk about with respect to African music, African compositions, feel free to talk about it now. Concerns that you have, challenges, advice that you have for up and coming composers. This use this opportunity to say what you feel like saying.
As I mentioned before, I really like African American music, especially music from Andrew Thomas, Moses Hogan, and they really inspire me when I'm doing my arrangements and compositions. And what I normally tell my fellow composers and arrangers is, you don't just sing your music, because sometimes you may go to Nigeria, to London, to America, and they will give you a particular style of music to do, and it will really challenge you if you only focus in doing your own music. So just do a lot of other people's research, music, and styles from different styles, African American arrangements, even classical music, operas, and you will really learn a lot as a composer. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the advice. Thanks for the suggestions. Everybody, what our composer said, you've heard him. Do some research, diversify, expand your horizons, listen to other styles, write in other styles. Brilliant. Thank you very much. It has been interesting. We've tried to fit in as many questions as possible.
Thank you.
I really appreciate the time you've taken out, to talk.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. It was nice meeting you, Mr. Evans, Obanda Ouma Mbinji. And thank you very much to everyone who's joined us and everyone who will watch this video later. Thank you, and have a brilliant day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks. Bye. Right.